got another video coming out here, and this is going to be about the recent announcement by Riot to do LCS franchising in NA. I've sort of already skimmed, well, I didn't skim it, I read through this article a couple days ago, and I think I know what I want to say here, but I'm going to talk about my opinion as basically a pleb, a Bronze 5 noob, but a fan of League of Legends nonetheless, and I'm going to bring a much different perspective than all the other posts and opinions you've seen posted. Because what I'm about to say is going to blow your mind. It's going to be such a fresh perspective. You're not even going to know what's coming or going by the time I'm finished. All right. I'm just gonna read through it. Let's see. We believe that stability for teams, blah blah blah. All right. Permanent partners of the league. Teams will be selected from an application process, meaning they won't have to face relegation. We see this as a positive step forward for multiple reasons. All right, so they're getting rid of relegations. Relegations is kind of fun to watch because it's like, yo, if this team loses, they're fucked. Like they're out of there, and it's really funny if it's a team you don't like, and it sucks if it's a team you do like, and if you don't really care, then maybe it's moderately interesting to watch. But I've always sort of like half watched relegation matches anyways, because sometimes the teams are so bad it's like painful to watch, and sometimes just like, well, no one's really interesting, and in certain cases they've sort of tapered down on the relegation rules over the years anyways. It used to be the last team in the LCS got auto relegated, and then they made it the bottom 3 have to go through basically playoffs to get back in. Now it's only the bottom 2, so they've basically been heading in this direction for a while. And I think that how do I put this? I'm not too sad to see relegation go, because I would rather see a team I don't like stay in the LCS than see a team I do like get relegated, because they're just fucked at that point. Then again, if they're that bad, why would I even like that team? I don't know. All right, let's keep rolling. All right, a lot of this is about how they think that... Yeah, I'm not going to go too much into the whole money thing. Obviously, I don't know shit about how this business thing works, but apparently it's good, because if people aren't in risk of losing their spots, then there's no risk and more money can go into the scene. That's all I'm going to say about that, because that is not my area of expertise whatsoever. Here's an interesting tidbit here. Competitive landscape even without relegation. They're saying if you finish 9th or 10th place in a 5 times and over an 8 split span, you might be kicked out, or you're in risk of being kicked out. I feel like A, that'll never happen, and B, I'm not worried about the scene getting less competitive, because, well, they're about to, part of what they're going to say in the next paragraph about the rebooted Challenger Series, but if you're just not trying because you're not going to get relegated, then you probably shouldn't be playing competitive at that point. I don't really think that's an issue unless teams are intentionally sandbagging for whatever reason, but since there's not a draft, it doesn't make sense that would be a concern. So, moving on to the Rebooter Challenger Series, or Rebooted. Yeah, this is why I'm not worried about teams getting, unmotivated or whatever, because if they each, basically the summary of this paragraph is each LCS team has a challenger team. So it's you got TSM Academy, you got CLG Academy, you got C9 Academy, you got Echo Bucks Academy, or Delta Fucks or whatever they're the meme team. And for me, it's like so they basically decoupled the series, and I think that's cool because I think a lot of teams don't experiment enough with their rosters because they're afraid of getting relegated or they don't have the means to. But this is basically saying that every team will have like a solid bench. So looking at it that way, it's like if you're unmotivated, if you're throwing games and you don't give a shit because you're like, oh, I'll never get relegated, I'm just gonna slack off. Then guess what? The guy that's on your bench is probably taking your spot because you're a douche. So I think that's good. Moving on to the next bit. How do the teams join the franchise? Ooh, how much do I want to go into this? Application submission. I feel like this is brand plan. I don't know how much I'm going to actually talk about this. Basically, they're not saying. I think the point of this is they're saying that the 10 current teams in LCS now aren't guaranteed to be the 10 teams that get franchised in next year. So, for instance, let's say TSM is just like, that's actually a bad example because they'll definitely be in there. Let's say Team Envious is like, no, we don't have the money to buy into this, and we're not really a big org in League of Legends, so we're bowing out. Then let's say, Bill Gates is like, well, fuck, I want to have like the Bill Gates fuck squad team, and that's gonna be the name of it. And I want to invest in League of Legends. Then he could come in and basically buy a spot left by an Envious or a smaller org or something like that. So I think that's fine because if because I think what may happen is let's say like God forbid TSM is like, nah, fuck this, we're out of League of Legends. I don't. I feel like Bill Gates or Moneybags McGee could just swoop in and grab the entire TSM roster. Um, but then again, I'm getting into some treacherous waters because I don't know how the whole economy will work. But it wouldn't in my mind, it wouldn't make sense for if a good team didn't like a high level team didn't want a franchise. It wouldn't make sense to me for all those players to scatter to the winds. So that's sort of my opinion on that. Okay. I don't want to get too much into sharing league revenue and protecting the pros because I wanted to make this video primarily on changing league structure, but I could see the one other thing I can think of as a fan, and I don't know if this is something I'll get into because I already spend my money in stupid ways already, but the whole like branding thing, if it's a permanent 10 teams, and I don't know if they'll ever get into localization because that's what Overwatch is doing and that seems pretty fucking hard to just set up overnight, but for now, even just having 10 like consistent teams, I would be more I'd be more like tempted to buy merchandise like a hoodie from, Team Curse. I used to like Team Curse back in the day, and if I bought a Team Curse hoodie, I'd be pretty pissed when after season 4 they switched and became Team Liquid, and it's like, well, now they're the horse and not the flame, and I'm wearing the wrong shit and I look stupid. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I could see the other people feeling that way. And another one would be when I used to like in EU, I used to like Gambit Gaming, and I mean a lot of their players either stopped playing or got carted away due to visa issues, but they basically just sold their spot to the team that would become Team Vitality, and I'm pretty sure they switched all of their players except Cabo Shard. So why do I want to root for that team now with a completely different logo and people and all this shit? So I could see this being a little less turbulent in that sense. Maybe that's fucking stupid, but that's kind of how I feel about that. So yeah, I think branding's going to be tight, and we'll see who Tempest Wing is going to be rooting for from now on. All right, Tempest out.